Well folks, hello, and this is my quick video trying to recap what we talked about in EDMs, which of course stand for the Equilibrium Displacement Models, okay? So all we're trying to do in this particular material is that we're trying to determine what is the percentage change in quantity supplied and the percentage change in quantity demanded along with the percentage change in price. Okay, so suppose an event happens, suppose let's say there's a shock from outside the market, which is by the way known as an exogenous shock. Think of floods causing havoc in a town. We are simply interested in determining what happens to the prices and the quantities, okay? So you can see this on this graph. Suppose we're at this point where S naught is the supply and the demand is given. We have a certain price P naught, and then we have a certain quantity Q naught. Suppose something happens to the supply. In this case, you can see it's a leftward shift, or the supply decreases. We expect the price to go to P1, and then we expect the quantity to decrease to Q1. Okay, so then you're going to have a change in quantity, that is Q naught to Q1, and then change in price, that is P naught to P1. Okay, so what we do know that the percentage change in quantity demanded must equal the percentage change in quantity supplied, and that idea is simply this movement from this point over here to this point over here at S1. Okay, so how do we sort of do this mathematically? Okay, notice that we have these two equations that pretty much form the basis of our analysis. Okay, the percentage change in quantity demanded is nothing but the elasticity of demand times the percentage change in price plus whatever the shock in demand is, okay? And then the percentage change in quantity supplied equals nothing but the elasticity of supply times the percentage change of price plus whatever the shock in supply is, okay? Now, as mentioned from the previous slide, percentage change in quantity demanded should equal percentage change in quantity supplied. So all you have to do is you have to equate these equations, and then you can solve for percentage change in price. Okay? What will be given to you, and as is often the case in the real world, are the elasticities of demand and supply, and then whatever the shock is in demand or supply. So again, the shock could be in demand or supply, or it can be in both of them. Okay? So then you just simply need to plug in the values and then calculate the percentage change in price. So when you equate those two equations, you simply get this on the left hand side and this on the right hand side, and then you can solve for percentage change in price, which is SD minus SS over ES minus ET. Okay, so this information will pretty much be given to you. The important thing to know, of course, is that the denominator must always be positive. And why is that? That is the case because elasticity of supply is usually positive and elasticity of demand is usually negative. So you'll notice that if you just simply plug in the values, this thing will be a positive denominator, okay? And then of course the shock in demand and shock in supply, it'll really depend on what the direction of the shock in demand and shock in supply is, okay? The shock in demand is usually, shock in demand and shock in supply is usually measured in percentages, okay? So there's a 10% decrease in the demand, there's a 10% increase in the supply, and vice versa, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's do a quick example here. Suppose you have the formula in front of you, which is this here, simply borrowed from the slides. Now, let's say you're given that SD equals 0.5, SS equals negative 0.1, ES equals 2.5, and then ED equals negative 1. Okay, so all these values are pretty much given to you. All you then have to do is you go ahead and simply plug in this formula. So your percentage change in price is simply going to be 0.15 plus 0.10 over 2.5 plus 1, okay? So this is 0.25 divided by 3.5, which 0.07. Okay, so price increased by 7% because of a increase in the shock in demand, and then there's a decrease in the supply. Okay, now once you have what the percentage change in price is, all you do is you simply plug in whatever the percentage change of price is that you calculated. You already know what the ED is, and I have given you what the shocking demand is. Okay, so as an example, we just calculated the percentage change in price as 0.07, and then we also know that the percentage change in quantity demanded equals the elasticity of demand times the percentage change in price plus whatever the shocking demand is. Okay, so all you simply do is you go ahead and plug whatever the elasticity of demand was. Okay, you already know this price, this change in price comes from this value, and then whatever the shock in demand was. Okay, and you calculate this and you're going to get a certain value. Okay, this value will be equal also to the percentage change in quantity supplied, because we know that the percentage change in quantity demanded must equal the percentage change in quantity supplied. Okay, so this here should be equal to this. Now, in the exam, you don't really have to do for both equations, even if you get something similar, so like as long as the decimals are pretty much close to each other, you should be good. And to save time, I would recommend choosing the simplest possible way of getting the percentage change in quantity demanded, and then you're all set. Okay? Now in the class we did look at a particular case, and that was this idea over here where we discussed this advanced problem, and that is, let the supply function of wheat be given to be this, and then the demand function is given to be this. The current price is 3.5 and the quantity is 1 bushel. Suppose poor weather led to a decrease in wheat stocks by 15%. Calculate the change in price and quantity in the corn market. Okay, so here what you have to know is that I am asking you to calculate what the elasticities are going to be. Okay, so I have given you what the demand function is, the supply function, I beg your pardon, and I've given you what the demand function is. Using these two, you need to calculate what the elasticity of demand and elasticity of supply is, so that you can pretty much plug it into this equation. Okay, once you solve for what the elasticity of supply and elasticity of demand is, you can go ahead and plug it into this equation to calculate whatever the percentage change in price is going to be. Okay.